Good morning. Today is Saturday, December 13th. And this is an authentic conversation. I am Sonny Hamilton, and
I
my co hosts are here.
I am Darren Hamilton.
And John Walser.
And we're happy that you're here with us. We have several things to talk about, and we're going to try to keep this a little shorter. We're actually timing it so that we can keep on track and not bore you to death. But so today, one thing we wanted to talk about was our political journeys, each individually. And if you guys want to go first, that's fine, or I can, whichever.
Doesn't matter. You're talking.
Okay. All right. So on my political journey, well, I've always been conservative, but I have not always been real active. In fact, I was mostly not active at all until about 2020. And in 2020 is when I started investigating. And I think we talked a little bit about this in a previous podcast about the people that influenced us and stuff. So I'm not going to go over that again. If you want to hear it, you can go back and listen to the first podcast. But in 2020 is with my friend Amy Foss is we just started digging for stuff because, well, frankly, we're a little bit disturbed about the COVID stuff and the vaccines. I mean, everybody is entitled to their own opinion regarding the vaccines, and we're not trying to convince anybody any other way, but just our own view, meaning Amy and I, is that we did not want it. Neither one of us wanted it. And we were listening to people who were helping guide us and helping us see things that have since come out. But again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. We're not trying to scare anyone or tell anybody anything other than what my experience is. So during that time, I was just searching for everybody that I could think of. And there was very little. There was the mainstream media, which didn't tell anything about politics, didn't tell anything about the topics I wanted to hear. So I was searching and searching. And with Amy, we were talking and trying to find something and we'd share it with each other. Well, since then, I used to have about 30 people that I would send news and information to. And during that time, people got a little nervous. And some people were like, I just can't handle hearing all of that information. It's just too much. So slowly, my list of people that I was sending stuff out to went from about 30 down to about 5. And it was like just the 5 most dedicated people. And I get it. And I'm not trying to judge anybody out there. Sometimes the information is so overwhelming and there's so much garbage going on that it's really difficult to digest all of that information. And sometimes it can be very overwhelming. So my political journey is now I have 6 people, and now I have all of you. And just reaching out and sharing the things that I've learned and things that have influenced me. And that's basically where I have, developed into when John mentioned a podcast, and I had been thinking about it, but I was just had no idea how to even begin. Nothing, didn't have any, just didn't have the drive or the knowledge of what to do, how to do it, but we put our three heads together and we figured it out.
Yep.
So, and John and I were like both right on top, just ready to go. And Darren, not quite so much, but he's coming along. We're dragging him along, but anyway. So go ahead.
So my political journey really dovetails with my spiritual journey. I don't know how to separate the two of them because they go completely hand in hand. And my disillusionment with religion and came about the same time as my disillusionment with politics because I started looking at everything deeper and looking at why it was happening. I don't really care a whole lot about what is happening, but I care more about why it's happening, because if you understand why it's happening, then you can fix it. If you just look at what's happening and you're just a victim to life, and I hate that whole mentality of being a victim to life. And so we have to. So anyway, I really want to understand as to why it's happening, and in order to understand why stuff is happening, you got to go back to the beginning of when it all started. And so even with politics, I may have mentioned some of this a little bit, but Saul was the first politician, and the people wanted a man king. God wanted to be their king, but the people wanted a man king. And so God was like, okay, fine, I'll give you a man king, but you still have to follow my laws, commandments, and statutes. And so we can see the political fight between David and Saul, and you can just see all the same stuff clear back, what, 4,000 years ago, that's happening today. And so when I was really looking into the politics, probably the verse that changed my world was, in regards to politics, was there in Romans 13. Once again, it's King James Version, 13, 1-7. But it says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there are no powers but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive for themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, pay your taxes. For they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues. Tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. So I remember I do my other little videos. Most of you probably realize that. And I remember doing one on politics once, and somebody putting in the comments, Nancy Pelosi is not a minister of God. Well, that's not what the Bible says. Why? But if we would look at to why, because we're going to become desperate. Our lives are going to become desperate. And like it or not, politicians run our lives. God's not running our lives. Probably politicians are running our lives. They're the ones that give, and they're the ones that take away. And if we really look at politics, to me, politics are, everything has a clone. Excuse me. God had his way and Satan has his way. And Satan can't create. God created, but Satan can't create. Satan can only clone. And so politics, to me, is kind of the clone. God wanted to be our king. God wanted to be our ruler. He wanted to show us. He wanted to guide us. He wanted to lead us. And he wanted to lead us into the land of milk and honey. But politics promises the same thing, and I don't care if it's the left or the right. They promise to lead us into the land of milk and honey, but realistically, all they do is take. They don't really give. They take. They take our rights, they take our money, they take everything. So anyway, that's kind of my journey, and that's why I sometimes may seem kind of negative on. I don't care if it's Trump or if it's on the left or the right or who it is. That's why I see things a little bit different. Is because I'm looking at it further back, and it's like, well, we just keep repeating the same patterns over and over, and it's like this is ridiculous. Let's break these patterns and let's get back to the one who wants to give to us. So anyway, that's where I am on the whole political spectrum.
Yeah. Mine started in 2008, um, after a certain election. And so,
Obama.
yeah,
Mhm.
yep. And things just weren't adding up with what he was saying. And politicians, they love to run on one thing and say they're going to do all this and that and the other thing. And then they get into office and none of it takes place.
Mhm.
100%.
And I kept asking, well, why, along with a birth certificate, ordeal. And as I was doing my research, one day I came across this website. It's usavsus.info. So it's a dot information site. And it gives the original description and then the corporate description of what's actually happened. And at the very top of it, it says American governance, both systems concurrently exist today. However, the corporate system, the all capital letters, has been gaining predominance in the last 70 years. Many sovereigns, which we all are, we the people, have contracted with the corporate system unknowingly, unintentionally, and or without full disclosure given. So what that means is that when you have a child, you can't leave the hospital without a social security. You have to fill that social security form
Mm.
out nowadays. That's putting you into the corporate system. Once you learn the difference, you may make a decision for yourself, family, and posterity. That decision may require changes in how you conduct yourself. You will have to undo what has been done to make your sovereign status known. This is not only in the corporate government's public school system, but it is not taught in the corporate government public school system because you are not to know. The elite or the one world government corporate system want and need to have power and control over the population they call human resources. So once I got on this website and I started seeing the original description of what our founders wanted and had in mind for us, and then I started reading the corporate side, and this gives all the House bills and the Senate bills, all the links. I mean, you can go back; it takes you right back to the Library of Congress and stuff like that. So, I mean, like I said, it's a dot information site. So it's not like someone just came in here and decided to put a whole bunch of information that it's all backed up by legit documents. And I started reading this site, and I got so mad I couldn't hardly stand it. So I left it alone for about a year. And during that year, I started, seeing more and more corruption and things like that. So then I came back to this site, and I don't know, it's just been a journey ever since, like X22 and following Q, and that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, the Q drops and
Q
different.
drops
Mhm.
and like I said, they're even taking going back on the Q boards and stuff like that through X22
Mhm. They do.
and we know,
Yep.
and he brings them, past proof or
Yeah,
future proofs past. So
exactly.
yep, so that's kind of where mine started.
Yeah, that's great. It's always great to hear everyone's different journey because even though we're all close friends, we all have slightly different journeys.
And we don't. I think it's fun too because I haven't even yours. I mean, I know bits and pieces, but you don't. Even though we're all really close, to say that we've heard of this journey and its completion. Really, it's good.
So, talking about politics, we wanted to actually go in and actually talk about our take on politics and the movement. So, we're all conservative, and the MAGA movement, in our opinion, is really basically where the moderate Democrats were in JFK's days. And you had a comment about that.
Blue Dog, yeah, it's today's Blue Dog Democrats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the Democrats in the day who were moderate, very moderate.
Yeah, if JFK was president today, he would be a Republican, hands down.
Yeah. Well, I think he would be either a Republican or a MAGA.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think he would probably be more MAGA. And just our opinion.
Isn't it true also that seems like I've heard that the old Democrats are actually Republicans of the day, and the old Republicans are Democrats of the day?
Well, the way in the Democrat or the Republican side is we have politicians who we consider rhinos. And the rhino means Republican in name only. And there are quite a few of them. And I voted for George H.W. Bush. I voted for George W. Bush. But they, in all reality, they were rhinos.
They were.
And which is sad to say, the Cheneys were rhinos. We have a lot of people in the Republican Party. So people on the left say, well, why can't you guys have control of presidency? You have control of Congress. You have control of the House. You have control of the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, that is true that we have the majority as far as the Republican Party. However, within that Republican Party, there are quite a few rhinos who will almost always vote with the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you that those rhinos really are Democrats. So when we say they're Republican in name only, they're saying they're Republican, they're putting themselves under the Republican Party, but they side with Democrats. More and more and more often, they're siding with Democrats. So we don't consider them to be really part of the Republican Party, because they're what I think probably the left would consider at one time have been far right. Well, they're no longer really far right, except for they want to maybe carry a gun. But other than that, they want free speech. But as far as the things that Americans want and conservatives want, they're not on the same page with us.
That
And
makes sense.
so that's why we call them rhinos.
Maybe you're against abortion,
Yeah.
some of those
Or
kind of
for
deals.
it.
True fact.
Yeah. So we have a lot of that thing that's going on. So Tulsi Gabbard is one that was a Democrat, and she has since come over to the Republican side. I would not call her a rhino. I would call her MAGA, because she is like the moderate Democrats in JFK's day. And
It'd be more like Mitt Romney,
exactly,
Liz Cheney.
they're rhinos.
Yeah.
And we're quite, on the conservative side, quite frustrated with these people, because they do not represent the values of a Republican. And
Of the Republican or the MAGA?
Either
well, either
one.
one, they do not represent. They used to, or maybe we just all thought they used to, but they do not represent what conservatives on the MAGA side, what we represent and what we like. and what we voted for. So they are not. So, yes, maybe we have the majority as far as in number, if you look at their registered Republican, but they're really not a Republican. They're really not. They really should be honest with their,
Honest.
they really should be honest and just say, you know what, hey, I'm a Democrat. Because they really are siding more and more and more with Democrats. If you go look at their voting records, that's what they're doing.
That's why I probably dislike politics, because it just feels like such a game.
It is.
Such a game
It
that
is.
it's
But there are
yeah.
some really good people, like Jim Jordan is, he's a MAGA. He's good.
Yep.
So there's some really good ones. You've got, well, I won't go into all of them right now, but we're kind of trying to stay on time, on topic, and on time. So
There's 11 of them in the Senate and 21 of them in the House of Representatives
rhinos,
that are rhinos.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And I'm on track with you there. So
And
I kind of,
and the thing of it is that like places like Alaska, Lisa Murkowski,
Oh, yeah.
you would think Alaska of all places that she would be a blood red Republican or
but
MAGA,
she's not.
and she's not.
Nope, not at all.
No.
And so on, in our view, again, on the Democrat side, so we talked about the Republican side. Now we're talking about the Democrat side, is that the people we've talked to and the people we're listening to, the people who are truly moderate. And I'm not talking about those who are socialists. I'm talking about the moderate Democrats. Many of them are very frustrated because they have talked about how they feel that their party has been hijacked by the socialist communist movement.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got a question. I've never even brought this up in private to these guys, so it'll be interesting to hear their thoughts on it. Because when she was talking about the socialists and whatnot, I personally like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I find it a little bit disturbing that she's kind of been thrown under the bus by the mega movement, where I see a lot of. Okay, go ahead, Sonny.
Oh,
Tell-
I'm just going to
tell-
explain.
Oh, okay. Because I see it. I see her, like I say, her being thrown under the bus a little bit by the mega movement, by Trump, and then you see a socialist come into the Oval Office, and Trump treats him like he's almost his friend. And I understand politics, and like I say, I dislike politics because of a lot of that. But anyway, yeah, explain your thoughts.
Okay, so with what's been going on, which I can tell you haven't really listened to that, but I know John probably has, is that there is people behind the scenes, and I'm talking the deep state, who is trying to put a line between
Division.
MAGA. Yes, they're trying to divide MAGA. And they were able to put a division between Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene got so upset is because it was about the Epstein files, right? Well, if she was truly MAGA, this is my opinion, if she was truly MAGA, she would have trusted that it's coming out. It's just not coming out right when you wanted it. So she was really good at fighting for what we felt was the MAGA movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere along the line, there was somebody got to her in the deep state, was fight, fight, fight for the Epstein files, right? So that's where she got stuck. And she got stuck in this little track where they wanted her out. And I'm talking about the deep state. They wanted her out because she was too loud of a
A voice.
voice.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted her out. So they pitted her hard against Trump. And so she fought for the Epstein files, thinking that Trump and the the MAGA was not going to release those things. Well, that's where I say she's not truly MAGA if she didn't believe that, because I think I knew it's coming out,
Oh, absolutely. It's
but
just a matter of time.
it's just a matter of time. You just got to be a little patient because it's coming out. But there's other things that are also equally important. But she let herself get pulled into the deep state fight. And when she did that, she moved to the Democrat side, and oops, I hit the table. uh, but she moved to the Democrat side and was fighting along with the Democrats, which the Republicans wanted it out as well. But those who are MAGA knew it was going to come out. They knew in their heart it was coming out. I don't know who got to her, who it was who got to her to say, they're not going to bring it out. Look, they're not doing it. They're not going to. They're not. No, they're not. So she got herself all worked up and she pitted herself against Trump and MAGA. Bad choice. Bad choice to do. That was not a good choice. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So there's a little, I'll try not to go too far down this rabbit hole because it is a really deep rabbit hole. So what we're witnessing is the dismantling of the deep state. But because of the power that they have had in the last 70 years, um, it wasn't, they didn't have the ability to just, like the first time Trump came into office, he couldn't just come in and start arresting everybody.
No,
Firstly, there's way too many people that were too asleep,
still, yes.
and I think still are.
Still are.
And you need to have the people on the president's side. And so she was here for a reason, and I think maybe her part of the script, if you will, has just been fulfilled. Maybe that's just what her part of it has been. And I like her too. I think she was great. She was a bulldog.
She was.
Yeah,
She
I like
is.
her.
Yeah.
But I think that's my opinion, is that's where she, and maybe it's part of a plan that we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's stuff going on in the background that we don't know what it is. We don't know why it's happening.
Yep.
But I know for myself and my friend Amy, there was times that, people would ask us, well, when is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? When is that going to happen?
The wheels of justice
Are slow.
turn very, very, very slowly, and they do for a reason, because the I's have to be dotted perfectly, the
Yep.
T's have to be crossed,
Perfectly.
because
Yeah.
once this all goes down, they only have one chance.
Right. So that's where we see that. But again, we kind of got a little off track, which is just fine.
I know. I
because
was
we're
trying
having
not to
we're
go too
having-
far
though.
down a rabbit
It's
hole.
okay because
We're
it kind of
having-
dovetails with some of the other stuff
Yeah.
that we're wanting to
Yeah.
discuss.
It all
Exactly.
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it
and-
all goes
does.
hand in hand.
So you know that picture that I have on my Facebook of that river that comes out, and it shows like the root of a tree.
Yep.
That's exactly the way this is.
It looks like arteries.
Yes.
So
So-
yeah.
So anyway, so the other thing that we really want, and we're just checking time, so we're trying not to go too long because we think last time we went too long. So the other thing that we listened to, Darren and I I had listened to it, and I asked him if he had listened to it, and he said no, or part of it. So we re-listened to it again. And on December 2nd, Tucker Carlson had an interview with John Rich. He's one of the singers of Big and Rich country music. And this was a really interesting interview. And so it kind of goes into politics, but it also goes into the spiritual side, but it also goes into the abuse side. So it really went deep. And John Rich, if you don't know, he's been wildly successful.
As a
in-
songwriter, as a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As a songwriter, singer, he wanted to be in country music. He wanted to write songs. He wanted to produce songs. And he was very successful.
Wanted all the awards.
Yeah, he
Yep.
won a lot.
Had one.
And so the one thing that Tucker talked about was something has shifted with you, with John Rich. He said something has shifted in the last year or so. And he said, yeah, it had. He was like, yep. So if you haven't seen that podcast, I would highly recommend you go.
It's a second one with Tucker. It's the second one. The first one's good too, but the one that
newest
we're
one.
referencing is the second one that was just released
Yeah,
recently.
the newest one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So December 2nd. That's the date. Go look for it. It's specifically on a certain date, December 2nd. Tucker Carlson and John Rich. So yes, it is the second one or third one. I don't know. But anyway, it is the one where you see Diddy in the background.
Mm.
So Tucker asked him, what is different? He said, well, there's the reason why. This is, again, what John Rich was talking about is there's a difference between being successful and being significant. And then he also talked about, what was it? Praying without ceasing, right?
Yeah, praying without ceasing.
And he said, and that doesn't mean you're sitting there on your knees every day, and day in, day out, and 24 hours a day. It means the way that he described it, which was a really nice way to describe it, is you have an open communication with God. And when you're going along throughout the day, all of a sudden, God may say, hey, I want you to go do this. And if you're not willing to do it, you're not being significant. And, right?
Yeah, this is.
What did you want?
Yeah, no, I was just wanting to. I mean, this is a part of my journey too, that praying without ceasing part, and I think it relates to what he's saying also. But where it came to me, exactly like Sonny says, it's not that you're on your knees all the time, but it's almost like I have an open dialogue with God all day long, and that's what that prayer without ceasing is
Yep.
just constantly having that communication, and the more gunk you remove from your mind. I remember hearing that we have 60,000 thoughts. We average 60,000 thoughts a day, and so
Women probably more.
yeah, maybe. But if you really start paying attention to your thoughts, there's a lot of loop thoughts, but it's mind-blowing as to how icky and how negative so many of those thoughts are. And I think that's a difference too in being successful, significant. The verse that just comes to mind is the prayers of a righteous man availeth much. That's what we want. We want those prayers that get really good results. And the more of you remove from your those stupid loop.
Mm-hmm. That inner voice.
Yeah, that inner voice, that dialogue that's just negative and icky, then your prayer without ceasing, it's a friendly, it's a great communication, and that's where the true success will come from.
I actually think it's kept me out of several accidents.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I've I've been sitting at a fuel island before, and there'll be one or two trucks ahead of me, and they're just taking their time. And I'm like, come on, dude, I need to get going. By the time I get out on the highway, and I'll get, a half hour down the road or even 15 minutes down the road, big, huge accident.
Oh, boom,
Mm.
goosebumps. Yeah.
Yep.
Could have
So,
been you
yeah, it
if
could
you
have
had
been
been
me.
put. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, no kidding. So, and that's really important. Yeah, and that's really good to listen to that. Sometimes we don't know what that voice of God, but sometimes it's that you think, oh, it's just that little voice on my shoulder, right? That
Yeah.
little man. Well, that's God.
Yeah.
Just listen to God, and so
Th-
it's just.
There,
Go
there
ahead.
again, no, there again, if we focus on becoming significant, success, I don't think God really cares about how much money we have. That kind of success. We view success as to the size of our house, the size of our bank account. But I think God views success completely different in the significance. And the more we focus on the things that are truly significant, I think the more we can hear that little internal voice, that little angel that's sitting on the shoulder, and even the voice that John's talking about, and we're saved from a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So John said he was not significant until he had an open channel with God.
Oh.
And I think that's true of all of us.
Yeah,
You just,
100%.
we're talking about that is
Mhm.
that if you, and that's why we could relate to this podcast with Tucker and John Rich so much was because of the, um, how they're talking about having that relationship and that open communication and that open channel.
This is also
And
why we're doing. I mean, this is why we're doing this podcast thing, because just like everybody, we have all through three of us been through significant challenges in our lives.
mhm.
And everybody has been through challenges, but we've also, on our own little separate journeys and together, been able to overcome a lot of things that a lot of people have not yet been able to overcome. And I think there again, it's just part of being significant. We're we're a part of a royal priesthood, and we're to share. It feels like we're supposed to share our story, and in sharing our story, like Sonny, she often, has a concern of not wanting to offend and not wanting to, this is our feelings and stuff. But it's important. It's important for us all to want to grow and to be those overcomers.
Yep.
So in this podcast, and I had already heard it, but we played it today for John. Is the song that John Rich recorded called Revelation. And if you haven't heard it, it's beautiful. You should go listen to it. Excuse me. Um, and the other one that he produced was Earth to God. And he's produced these two songs on his own without a record contract or without an agent because nobody wants to touch it.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
they're
was
not.
that important to him.
Yeah,
And
Yep.
they don't want to touch it.
they.
know.
The deep state's in Nashville too.
I know
Oh,
it is.
100%. It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
I
absolutely.
used to not think that it was in Nashville or in country music, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually there.
as long as it was kind of destructive subject matters, they were all over it. Just like Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. I mean, that's a catchy song, and I like the song, but it's not. That's what Tucker was kind of talking about. John Rich is he's obviously made a huge spiritual shift to go from writing songs, or at least singing songs about saving a horse, ride a cowboy, to Revelation, and even with the
Earth to
latest,
God.
yeah,
and
Earth
then
to
the
God,
most,
and the latest one of what was it? It's talking about child trafficking. I can't
yeah,
remember.
it's
A really powerful video, and powerful song.
we played it for John this morning.
The Righteous Hunter.
Righteous
Righteous
Hunter.
Hunter, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, he played that on on the podcast, that Righteous Hunter. He just played it
With
with just
Tucker.
his, yeah, with Tucker, with just his guitar and his voice.
Acoustics. Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But and then he said, go listen to or go watch the video because the video is about child trafficking, and he's very passionate about um, children. And like he said, you come after my child, watch out. I'm coming out. My gun's coming out, and you better be praying to God because you better, be making yourself right with God because I'm coming after you if you hurt my child. And any any father who's worth their salt and gold, that's what they should be wanting to do. Any
Hmm.
mother, you say, you hurt my child, I'm coming after you. I remember my mom used to say, and I've seen people do it, but she was like, if I had to save my children or feed my children, if I had to, I would go steal. But she said I haven't had to do that because she just scrimped and saved because we were really poor growing up. And we didn't know that until we were probably like preteen and something like that when we realized, oh, we are poor. Okay.
Uh,
Didn't know that. So, but anyway, so he talks about this. And did you want to read that part, talk about that, or you want me to do it?
yeah, feel free. Feel free
Okay.
to read it.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm going to say in regards to, uh, I mean, that's probably one of the things where I see a little different than John Rich, because unfortunately, in those kind of circumstances, or maybe fortunately, we can't do the vigilantism. And if somebody were to walk in and me catch them with my daughter, then you have a little bit better stance with the court system. But if most of the time predators don't, they're, I mean, those of us that have hunted, we know you as the predator, you look for the weak and the vulnerable. And so you can't, and so that's why I'm more into now we got to figure out as to how to gain the angel protection, because the angels can always be there. Dad with his 9mm can't always be there. And most of us, at least most of us that have a little redneck in us, yes, we would protect our children. Yes, you come into our home and there's a good chance you will go out in a body bag. We get that, and we're extremely comfortable with
And that's
that.
what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I don't think he was talking about just if you look at my daughter or he's
No,
talking
no, no,
about
no.
he's talking about if you target my daughter or my child, my son, whatever, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
Because he said any father, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so in 2023, this is all talked about on the podcast, is with Tucker and John Rich, is that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I'm not sure, the acronym looks like NCMEC, but anyway, they received over 36 million reports of suspected online child exploitation and abuse. 36 million in 2023. That is huge, huge, huge,
That's
huge.
mind blowing.
It is. And that's in the United States.
It doesn't even go to the Philippines or
No, that's just
Thailand.
United States. So he's talking about how that there's close to 10,000 cases of trafficking reported to the hotline last year, just in 2024.
Wow.
10,000 cases of trafficking reported. And of that 10,000, only 1% of the trafficked children are returned to their parents.
Yeah.
So mind blowing how horrible that is. So,
Yeah.
so he produced this one and he knew this one was even more. Um, just one second.
Yeah, yeah.
So he said this one is even more not liked by the industry, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't matter which industry. We're talking music industry, the deep state, because it's talking about their money making machine.
I was just going to go
Mhm.
there.
So
Mhm.
that he's targeting their money making machine, which is horrible to think about. It's not just the music industry, it is Hollywood. It is it's every walk of life. But those ones are so he talked about in this podcast, John Rich did how that people can go and there's a man who talked about how you can remove different apps from your children's phones, and you should, because that's how they get in. They get in and start talking to your child, and they're telling how that they're a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid
Hmm.
when they're actually a 35-year-old creep from who knows where in the world, and they're targeting that child, and then they come and they get that child to agree, or in the other aspect what he said is they come and they tell that child once they got have their hands into that child, they're like, this is your mom, this is your dad,
Yeah.
this is your sister, this is your grandparents, we know where they all live. If you don't go along with what we say, we're going to kill them all.
Per-
So what do you think that does
That's
to a
just
kid?
sad.
Yeah, we're gonna send your pictures off to your school friends, and
Right, that because they convince a kid to take a picture of themselves nude or something, and then they say we're gonna throw this out there for everyone. You either well, then the child is never heard from again.
Yeah, and there's every now and again you'll see on Facebook how it starts is they'll take and put like a certain mark on a car. They'll have, I guess I would call them a headhunter or something
Mm,
maybe, and they'll sit in like Walmart parking lots or whatever, and then they'll take and put a mark on a car. I think one time it was like a zip tie around a handle or something on a, and that's what marks the, you know, how they figure out who they want
mm-hmm.
um to get. So I mean that's
well, I don't know how they do it, but on another video or podcast I was listening to, they somehow have the ability to find kids' records, medical records,
that is
and
interesting.
yeah, and they're able to find which kids suffer from mental health and are vulnerable
They
kids,
exploit
and
them.
so then they exploit them because they know that those kids they're already weak prey.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And uh, John and I, we went and saw The Sound of Freedom when it came out.
Yeah, I saw it too.
And I remember listening to a podcast later, the guy that produced it. Um, so they've been on this mission trying to stop this trafficking and stuff for years. And he made the comment that it's actually worse currently than it was even when they started that movie. And
Hmm.
so we're not solving this issue,
No.
and that's where I kind of side with the Marjorie Taylor Greene, is because if we as a society aren't going to make
You mean you're a
the
rhino?
yeah, I'm a rhino. Don't get mouthy. um, if we're not going to side with the children, which it has been happening since time began. I mean, they were walking the children through the fire, and there again, I did a video quite a while ago on, um, well, even in Sodom and Gomorrah, when the homosexuals came and were beating down the door and wanting the angels, the the father he was willing to send his virgin daughters out the door to these guys that had terrible things on their mind. And so w- we have just for thousands of years been living in a manner that is destroying the kids, and I think we're putting ourselves into a very dangerous position, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse
Mhm.
and worse.
Yep.
God's the only way out.
It's the only
And
way.
that's absolutely right. He is the only way. And
The first line of that song, Earth to God,
mhm,
is Earth to God, come in, God,
mhm,
come in. And what are we made of? We're made of earth.
Yeah, Earth. Yeah, Earth. Yeah.
Kind of like the Lord's Prayer.
mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't say what you're meaning, because we had this discussion the other day, but it
We
was a great
did.
thought.
So there's two versions of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in
In earth
earth
as
as
it
it is
is.
in heaven. And then there's the other version of on earth as it is in heaven. Well, what are we made of? We're made of earth.
Mhm,
It's in us.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
Thy
it
will
is.
be done in us.
I don't think, and this has been another one of the things that I've seen, but I think it's really hard for people to wrap their head around. We don't recognize the level of influence that our lives have on the animal kingdom and on the earthly kingdom. It doesn't matter. It it doesn't matter, like the organisms in the earth. Our practices have an effect on those organisms in the earth. Our farming practices have an effect on the animals. And I think we'll have I mean, this is kind of a subject matter of another podcast, so I'm not going to get into it. But we have, I see it being in the animal business that I'm in, being a hoof trimmer. I see I see what our practices do, that I hate to say it, but create a cruelty to animals.
They do.
And God sees that. So he sees what we're doing that harm the animals. He sees what we're doing that harm the children. And we have to get to the place where there again, we're going to get desperate. We're going to get the hell beat out of us. And a comment that my sister often makes in regards to, and but it's so true. It's like, how far down do we have to go? I mean, I look at people living on the streets, and I think, dang, how bad does your life have to get before we're going to grab ourselves by the bootstraps and go, okay, this is not working. I have to start climbing this
Mhm.
ladder of life.
Yep.
Mhm.
Ask, seek, and knock.
Ask, seek, and knock.
That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah. So we're creating a lot of the problems. We're creating a lot of the problems that we've got going on.
So, with that, we're going to probably start to wrap up this podcast. We apologize that it wasn't on, more topics, but we felt these two topics were so important that we needed to just uh, center on those today, and then also, we we do value your guys's your input. We very
Your
much.
comments, your
Mhm.
Yeah.
thoughts.
We're constantly looking at your comments and thoughts and ideas for other podcasts
Right, and we
and
have
stuff like
some,
that. So,
yeah, for next week that we'll
yep.
be doing, and but also, as we say in our what we've decided our closing statement is going to be, is remember, let's keep it real and keep it
Keep it authentic.
authentic.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what we want.
So, thank you everyone, and we appreciate it. Anything else you want to say before
No,
we
love you
close?
guys.
No,
Thanks
Okay.
so much
just
for
love you and
watching once
thank you.
Yep.
again. Hit the likes, hit the
Yes.
share for us. We're going to continue
Tell
to
as many
grow.
people as you can.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, if you did like it, please let us know. If
Even
you
if